everyone, and welcome to UNLV's College of Education Scholarship and Practice webinar. Today's webinar aims to offer insights into AAPI's histories, experiences, and interconnections. We'll explore why understanding these histories and interconnections is crucial for a more inclusive and accurate portrayal of American history. By the end of the session, you'll have some tools to enrich your curriculum, create a more inclusive learning environment, and simply have the ability to create discussion around AAPIs. I'm Dr. Julie Pham, and I will be your facilitator for today. All right, so getting to know you. Please introduce yourself in the chat box. I invite you to share the following: your name, what is your role in education, if any? Are you an educator? Are you an activist? Are you a parent? And what brought you here today? I'll give you a few minutes to do so. Thank you, Jen. Thanks for being here. Hi, Viv. Thanks for being here. Thank you, Rachel. Thanks for being here. Hi, Mimi. Thank you. Hi, Terry. Hi, Frederick. Oh, Alexis. Hey, Michelle. Awesome. So while that's going on, I'm just going to go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Julie Pham. I'm a postdoctoral scholar currently working with Dr. Jeff Shee. I received my doctorate from NYU back in 2022. And my research interests encompass critical areas such as ethnic studies, multicultural education, educational policy, college access, curriculum development, and supporting teachers of color. I also explore themes of school quality and leveraging student social assets to increase positive educational outcomes for underrepresented communities, such as Southeast Asians and Pacific Islanders. Thank you and welcome, everyone. Thanks for being here. All right, so just going to go ahead and give you a quick overview of everything that's going to happen in this webinar. We just did in our introductions, and then I'm just going to follow in and go and then talk about why AAPI history matters. All right, so I'll highlight like the diversity of AAPI community, historical contributions, common misconceptions and challenges, and then I'll jump into the work that I'm actually doing. So creating the micro course, and I'll have a little like snippet of, you can see of what the work looks like, importance of integrating APIs into the curriculum, and going on, I'll have some actual examples of participants from my cohort 1. And I'll share with you some tools and resources, next steps, some teaching strategies, ideas, and we'll close with a Q&A. Right. Okay. So before we actually get started, pop quiz, right? If you're able to, please get a pen and paper, or we can do it digitally, right? I'll ask a few questions and I'll give you some time to answer. I'll also post the questions in the chat. So once you're done, can you share your answer via chat without Googling? Can you name 5 or more notable Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders? Can you name the difference between East Asian, Southeast Asian, and South Asian? And can you tell me the origins of the word boondocks? And let me go ahead and post that here for you. And I'll give you a few minutes to kind of think about it and answer. No rush. I just want to get the brain juices flowing. Yes, thank you, Terry. This is awesome. Oh, Viv, don't be embarrassed. I recently learned this myself, so yes, thank you, Jen. Better the new bachelorette. Yes, I think her name is Jenny Tran, if I'm not mistaken. Perfect. Great. Yes, absolutely. The origins of the word boondock originate from the Tagalog word bundok, which means mountain or hilly region. So during the American occupation of the Philippines in the early 20th century, American soldiers adopted the word boondock to describe something rural or remote, right? So over time, the word evolved from into boondocks or the boonies, right? So cool fun fact, right? Um, so why does this matter, right? In the exploration of history, the narratives we choose to learn shape not only our understanding of the past, but also influence our perception of the present and the future. AAPIs are changing the face of America. In 2021, AAPIs make up about 6% of the US population and are the country's fastest growing racial group. With a population of more than 20 million, AAPIs are expected to grow to 35 million by 2060. They have created ethnic enclaves such as Chinatowns and are settling into major metropolitan cities. But most people know very little about AAPI history and migration journey because ethnic, Asian American, and Pacific Islander studies have been excluded from K-12 curriculum. By examining the experiences of APIs, we will all gain valuable perspectives that challenge monolithic views of the American story, promoting a more inclusive and accurate portrayal of our nation's history. So thank you everyone for participating. There will be a lot of that. My background is in K-12. I was a teacher, so it's going to be a lot of pop quizzes. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and highlight the diversity of APIs. I hope that everyone can see this infographic and that, it's not too blurry. The API community is incredibly diverse, right? Encompassing a wide range of cultures, languages, experiences. Recognizing this diversity helps us avoid stereotypes and generalizations about the AAPI experience. And by diversity, I am talking about geographic origins, right? So Asian Americans, this group includes individuals with ancestry from East Asia. So that's China, Japan, Korea. And then you have Southeast Asia, right? You have Vietnam, Thailand, Cambodia. And then you have South Asia, India, Pakistan, and Central Asia, Uzbekistan, and Kazakhstan. All right, so really quick in the chat, please answer the following questions. How many Asian countries and languages are there? So you can just jot down two numbers. Oh, yes, Rochelle, a lot. Right. So the numbers, there are over 40 plus countries, over 2,000 languages and dialects, right? So imagine all this is just in language, right? And we're just thinking about where the AAPI community is coming from, right? The same thing is with Pacific Islanders, right? This group encompasses indigenous people from the Pacific Islands. This includes Polynesia, right? Hawaii, Samoa, Tonga, Micronesia, Guam, Palau, and then you have Melanesia, which is Fiji, Papua New Guinea, right? Yeah. So we're talking about cultural practices too, right? There is a wide range. Each AAPI culture has its own set of traditional customs, rituals, celebration. For example, we have a Lunar New Year in which Chinese, Vietnamese people celebrate it, right? But Thai, Laos, and Cambodian people celebrate their New Year's in April, which is separate from Lunar New Year, right? So that's already a huge difference, right? We also have religion and beliefs, right? So APIs practice a wide range of religions, including Buddhism, Hinduism, Islam, Christianity, and other indigenous spiritual practices. Each religion has its own tradition and beliefs or rituals. So, as I mentioned earlier, we have multiple languages, right? API communities speak a variety of languages and dialects. For example, Chinese includes Mandarin, Cantonese, and many other dialects, right? We have Pacific Island languages, which includes Samoan, Tongan, Chamorro, amongst many others. And even within the language, there's variation, right? So there's so many like different dialects. In Vietnamese, we have three very distinct dialects, and even the vocabulary does not match, right? So something could be said in Northern Vietnamese, and it would not make sense to me as a Southern Vietnamese person, right? And I'm also talking about, by diversity, I mean historical backgrounds. Historical backgrounds. So also we have immigration histories, right? So different waves of immigration have shaped AAPI communities in various ways, right? So we have early Chinese immigrants who often worked on the railroads, while some Southeast Asian refugees, such as like the Vietnamese people, arrived after conflicts like the Vietnam War. Yeah. And we also need to highlight the colonial and post-colonial experiences. Many Pacific Islands have unique colonial history that influence their cultural identities today. By diversity, I'm also talking about social economic status. AAPI communities vary widely in terms of SES. While some groups have higher average incomes, others face economic challenges. This disparity affects access to education, healthcare, and other resources. I'm also talking about identity and experiences, right? So we also have first generation immigrants have different experiences and cultural practices compared to their American born descendants, leading to diverse expression of a variety of expressions of identity, right? And we also need to highlight intersectionality. APIs may also navigate various aspects of identity, including gender, sexuality, disability, which further, adds to this range of diversity. And cultural contributions, right? API communities contribute to cultural fields, which includes music, film, literature, visual arts, each with very unique style, right? We talk about Crazy Rich Asians, and they were in Taiwan, right? So now when people think about like Asians, they kind of think about Crazy Rich Asians, right? So the diversity within AAPI communities arises from a complex interplay of geographical origins, everything I just previously mentioned. The richness adds depth and variety to the AAPI experience here in the US, making it a vibrant and multifaceted aspect of American history. All right, so I have 3 pictures up here. Can you, in the chat, tell me who is in this picture, right? So in the far left, we have a black and white picture of a family. We have another picture of a man in United Farm Workers, right? And then we also have a group of Native Hawaiians. So in the chat, if you can you tell me who these people are? Yes, thank you, Rachel. Oh, and Christine, to double back to you, Dr. Espinoza, actually in Vietnam is actually a different dialect rather than its own language, because we can still understand each other. It's just they have very different accents, right? So an accent like from like a southerner to a northerner, we can probably understand it. It's just that they'll use different vocabs to mean different things. But it's also a different accent. Yeah. So yeah, thank you, Viv, for explaining that. Perfect. All right. So we have Larry Itzilong, right? Itzilong. Pardon my pronunciation. Um, can anyone? That's okay, June. That is totally fine. Actually, no. All right. I love it. I love that everyone or a good amount of people recognize Larry. Okay. So yeah. So because of this, just right here, AAPI history matters because there are many major events and AAPI individuals who have made significant historical contributions and are not often included in our textbook. Oh, so um, sorry, Juanita, did you raise your hand? Did you have a question? Sorry, a little technical difficulty. Oh, okay, I'll continue. Yeah, so this picture of this family here in black and white in 18, so it is a picture of the Tate family. So in 1885, the Tate family legally challenged the San Francisco Board of Education when their daughter was denied access to public education. Tate v. Hurley is one of the earliest civil rights decisions against racist policies that segregated students based on race. This case struck down all school board policies that barred Chinese students from California school. However, upon return to school, the daughter, Mamie Tate, was still denied enrollment. The school superintendent later pushed for legislation to create separate but equal schools. This is a precursor to Plessy versus Ferguson. So this is back in 1885, right? And we don't often hear about this story, but we have heard about Plessy v. Ferguson, right, during the civil rights. So yeah, so that's something that I wanted to highlight because if wasn't talked about, this is not talked about in our current like textbook, right? So here we have Larry It Leong and the Delano grape strike in 1965. Larry and some of his union colleagues organized the Delano grape strike, a walkout of 1,500 Filipino grape pickers demanding higher wages and improved working conditions. As the movement gained momentum, Dolores Huerta and Cesar Chavez from National Farm Workers Association joined Larry and the Filipino Farm Labor Union. Eventually, the two groups combined to form the United Farm Workers, right? Some of us may have heard of it, some of us haven't. I think it's talked about a little bit more in California, but again, I think that a lot of textbooks tend to leave out Larry and the Filipino Farm Worker Association. And here in this bottom picture with a group of Native Hawaiians. So this is in 1970. The Native Hawaiian sovereignty movement of the 1970s stand as a pivotal chapter in the history of Hawaii, marked by the pursuit of justice, cultural can't speak today. Cultural revitalizations and the assertion of Native Hawaiian rights, emerging against the backdrop of a complex history that includes the overthrow of Hawaii and the subsequent annexation by the US. This movement sought to rectify historical injustices, reclaim ancestral lands, and assert the right to self-determination for Native Hawaiians. Rooted and fueled by a desire to protect sacred lands, the sovereignty movement brought forth legal challenges, organized protests, and contributed to a broader discourse on Indigenous rights in the late 20th century. This historical movement set the stage for ongoing discussion and advocacy surrounding Native Hawaiian sovereignty, ensuring cultural preservation, justice, and recognition for Native Hawaiians. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and play the video, but the model minority myth suggests that all AAPI's individuals are uniformly successful, hardworking, and well-adjusted. While this may seem positive, it's actually quite harmful. The stereotype creates division, right? Acts as a racial wedge. It sets up a false narrative that minoritized groups are in competition with each other, implying that success is solely a matter of personal effort and overlooking systemic barriers. The stereotype also excludes diversity. It fails to account for the wide range of diverse experience within the AAPI community, like I mentioned before. Go ahead and play the video.
Professor in Asian American Studies.
The model minority myth is dangerous because it's a racial stereotype. It's a story, a script that even though a little part of it is true, once we accept this racial generalization, it goes all sorts of places that we can't control.
You know, this model minority concept didn't always exist. When Chinese immigrants first showed up in the US in the 1800s, white America saw them as heathens who stole their jobs and raped their women. This was known then as the Yellow Peril. The xenophobia and discrimination escalated, leading Congress to pass the Chinese Exclusion Act in 1882, which completely banned Chinese immigration to the US. Sounds kind of familiar, huh?
The notion that if you're Asian, you can never become American. You can't be a full member of this society.
And it didn't end there. As Asian immigration grew throughout the 19th and 20th centuries, they continued to face discrimination. There were violent mobs during the 1930s against Filipinos in Northern California, and of course, there was the Japanese internment during World War II. This scapegoating of various Asian communities went on until about the 1960s. And then in 1966, the New York Times published a piece by Professor William Peterson titled "Success Story, Japanese American Style." This article is considered one of the most influential stories ever written on Asian Americans and effectively gave birth to the term model minority. It said, barely more than 20 years after the end of the wartime camps, this is a minority that has risen above even prejudice criticism. By any criterion of good citizenship, the Japanese Americans are better than any other group in our society, including native-born whites. At first, the term only applied to Japanese Americans. Then it quickly grew to include all East Asians. Then eventually, anyone who even looks slightly Asian.
What is said of Chinese is extended to Japanese, what's said of Japanese is transferred to Koreans, and so on and so on and so on. That's why the model minority myth has just expanded, because people really can't tell the difference. They can't be bothered to.
And the success was partially true, at least in the realm of education. By the mid-1900s, Asian Americans on average had higher levels of education than African Americans. But that wasn't the whole story. In 1965, the Immigration Act reversed years of restrictive immigration policies that virtually banned all immigration from Asia. But it allowed only those with certain backgrounds to enter the US, namely professionals like doctors and engineers. It was a brain drain. And right as the civil rights movement was gaining steam, the model minority stereotype started to gain traction.
From the very beginning, the model minority myth has been false flattery. It's not even really about people of Asian descent. It's a way to insult African Americans, Hispanics, and others.
But despite this stereotype of Asians as submissive and keeping their heads down, Asians have a long and storied history of civil disobedience in this country, which is often overlooked by the media. The media also plays a role in perpetuating stereotypes about Asians. In 2014, former Fox News host Bill O'Reilly sparked a controversy when he asked,
"Do we have Asian privilege in America?" Because the truth is that Asian American households earn far more money than anyone else.
He cited Asian academics and median household incomes as being better than those of whites. Probably unsurprising coming from a man who doesn't believe in white privilege. And a conservative political commentator, Andrew Sullivan, ignited a debate around the model minority myth when he wrote, quote, "Asian Americans, like Jews, are indeed a problem for the social justice brigade. How have bigoted white people allowed these minorities to do so well, even to the point of earning more on average than whites?"
The model minority myth has always been used as propaganda, as a way to say, yes, we applaud the Asians, but really what we're doing is denigrating other racial minorities by saying, if Asians can do this, it means there's no racial discrimination, disparities don't count.
Sullivan's piece was seen as a thinly veiled attack on African Americans, while not mentioning them at all or the systemic injustices they've consistently faced even after the Civil Rights era. But here's the problem. The truth is lost in the numbers. For example, if you compare the net worth of Chinese or Japanese Americans to Korean Americans, you see a stark difference. Meanwhile, 1/5 of Vietnamese Americans don't have a high school diploma and often end up in low-paying service jobs. And almost 40% of the Hmong community have less than a high school degree, about 25 percentage points lower than both the Asian American and U.S. averages. Asian American leaders have lobbied for a breakdown of the government statistics so that each of these communities' educational, housing, and language needs can be met. But there's another issue around Asians that few are talking about: the undocumented.
All right. Just gonna go ahead and end the video there. If you want to watch more of the video, it's available on YouTube. It's from AJ Plus, and it's called "Why Do We Call Asian Americans the Model Minority?" If you wanted to like learn more about it. Yeah, so the AAPI communities have faced numerous challenges, right? So including exclusionary policies and discrimination. Historical events such as the Chinese Exclusion Act in 1882 and the Japanese internment camps illustrates these struggles. Addressing these challenges in the classroom will help students understand the broader context of American history and the resiliency of the AAPI communities. So, how does this all fit into the work that I'm actually doing?
You probably know this stereotype.
Okay, so I created this micro course in an effort to support educators who are interested in learning more about AAPIs and how they can become more inclusive with their curriculum. This micro course is offered asynchronously over the span of 5 weeks and is 15 hours in length. It is a micro course, right? It has 6 modules. This includes an introductory module, 4 content modules, and a synthesis module. Participants are required to interact with their peers via discussions on our discussion board, and I am available during office hours once a week and through email if needed. So in the 4 content modules, I talk about the historical context and the migration flow. I talk about AAPIs in Nevada, and I also talk about AAPIs and the educational experience. Of course, here I just only highlight the K-12 aspect, and is my hope in course 2 that I will be able to highlight the higher education side of it. And then my 4th module is cross-cultural solidarity. And then our last module is just a synthesis of everything that we've talked about in the 4 content modules. And I asked for them to, hand in a final reflective assessment, a final reflective essay, if you will. This micro course was funded or is funded by the Tang Foundation, whose mission is to support Asian-focused work in education, healthcare, and community service. And I am working with, this micro course is offered in collaboration with the Northeastern Nevada Regional Professional Development Program, and NRPDP. Their mission is to support the state's teachers, admin, by providing professional development programs tailored to the needs of the district, the school, and teacher growth. So thank you to both of them. So what is the purpose of the micro course, right? It's to create awareness and a more nuanced understanding for all Nevada State educators on topics related to the AAPI communities and their experience within the U.S. society. The purpose is to support a well-rounded and holistic perspective for K-12 educators and admin across a variety of disciplines, and to create a community of K-12 educators and admin and support them through resources and workshops. For example, this is in module 2 of mine. Here I highlight a snippet of AAPIs in Nevada. So In the chat, please answer the question. After what we have discussed so far, why do you think it's important to talk about AAPIs in our city or state? And you can think about in your own specific city, state. Some are from California, some from New York. Like, let me know. Why do you think it's important to talk about AAPIs in our city/state? Yes. Awesome. Thank you, Mimi. Yeah, AAPI is a growing population in Vegas. Yes, the solidarity with the folks. Yep. Eradicate stereotypes. Combat erasure. Ooh, that's a good one, Jen. Yeah. Peace, unity. Yes, June. Oh, Las Vegas is known as the Ninth Island. Absolutely, Michelle. Yep. So thank you for everyone who's answering. Yes, Terry, exactly. UNLV is a Nanapeasy. Thank you, Leanne. Yep, exactly. So people growing up in Nevada can't understand all backgrounds. I love that. Yes. So exactly. So, while understanding how the API community contributes to Las Vegas can lead to a richer appreciation of the cultural diversity that makes up the fabric of Las Vegas, right? So, the history of AAPI immigration to Las Vegas provides context to the city's development. It sheds light on the challenges and successes of the community over time, contributing to a more nuanced understanding of the city's evolution. Las Vegas has seen waves of immigration from the AAPI communities. Chinese and Filipino immigrants, for instance, played a significant role in the city's early development, particularly during the construction of the Transcontinental Railroad. According to the US Census Bureau, during the year of 2011 to 2021, the Native Hawaiian and other Pacific Islander population in Las Vegas grew by 40%. That's an estimated 22,000 people. In essence, learning more about AAPI community in Las Vegas or in your city or state allows us to appreciate our neighbor and create a more harmonious and inclusive society that promotes diversity. So in particular, I have this picture of this hotel, right? Has anyone been here before or know which hotel this is? You can go ahead and write that in the chat. If you do, you don't, thumbs up. Yes, perfect, right? So Sam Boyd of Boyd Gaming. Yes, oxtail soup, best in the game. Yes. Yes, June. The OG Poly Center. Yes. Yeah, I'm sure they were probably there having oxtail soup, Jen. Right. So Sam Boyd of Boyd Gaming started his career working a gambling barge off the coast of Oahu and went on to be one of Vegas' most prolific and celebrated entrepreneur. His California hotel opened in 1975, but business was slow. However, Boyd turned his attention across the Pacific, marketing the cow to Native Hawaiians with attractive package deals, subsidized flights, and home comforts in form of traditional Hawaiian food and a laid-back informal style of hospitality. Hawaiians took Sam's marketing and ran with it, turning the cow into a generational destination of family tradition and vacation. Many Hawaiians migrated to work at the cow and other service industries, bringing their families and relatives and building a thriving community. And it is because of this, an affordable cost of living, Vegas endearingly became known as the Ninth Island. And to cater to the Hawaiians as well as a means of income, many Hawaiian businesses and restaurants have appeared over the years, adding to the Las Vegas foodie scene, right? So I don't know about you, but one of my favorite Hawaiian places or restaurants in Las Vegas is Island Flavor on Durango. So you should go there. All right. Yeah. It's interesting, right? Like some of these things, like you just don't know, like you've never heard of it unless you're learning it in class or learning it in this like webinar, right? Yeah, so it's really interesting. All right. So my microcourse goals and outcomes. I want the participants to be able to discuss important issues and challenges concerning AAPI communities. I wanted them to be able to identify and recognize intersectional issues, including race, class, ethnicity within the AAPI community. I want them to be able to describe the experiences of local AAPI in Las Vegas, develop a strong sense of appreciation and connection to the AAPI population, as well as across the states and in Las Vegas, and to be able to identify key terms, concepts, and issues and challenges in AAPI historical and contemporary experiences. So, importance of integrating AAPI into the curriculum. We're talking about representation. We're talking about understanding U.S. history, right? We're talking about preventing prejudice and violence. So it's essential for these reasons. It provides AAPI students with a sense of belonging and validation by reflecting their cultures, histories, and contributions, which can enhance their self-esteem and engagement in learning. Yes. A more inclusive curriculum ensures a fuller and more accurate depiction of American history. Yes, Dr. Espinosa. Acknowledging the integral role of AAPI contributions. Additionally, educating students about diverse culture fosters respect and empathy, reduces stereotypes, and promote a more inclusive school environment. Exposure to various cultures and histories encourages critical thinking, broadening students' understanding of different viewpoints. In an increasingly globalized world, such education prepares students to interact effectively and with understanding with people from different backgrounds, right? Incorporating diverse content makes education more engaging and relevant, sparking curiosity and interest in learning about different cultures. It is important to note that each state has its own set of curriculum standards, and within each state, individual school districts have differing amount of local autonomy. But there is an ongoing movement to include ethnic studies in K-12 schools. In 2001, California passed a bill mandating ethnic studies as a K-12 graduation requirement, and many other states are following suit. It is my hope that we can actually make the same thing happen in Nevada. So I hope you all will join me in my efforts. So what else can include including APIs in K-12 curriculum do? Well, it can promote cultural sensitivity in the classroom, which is key to fostering an inclusive environment. It can encourage students to learn about and celebrate API cultures through projects, discussions, events. Activities such as cultural fairs or history months can help build empathy and understanding among students. Here you can see here, cultural sensitivity is also referred to as cultural awareness and is the knowledge, awareness, and acceptance of cultural differences. A culturally sensitive person can acknowledge the moral standards and principles that differ from their own without prejudice or judgment. This infographic highlights the 4 steps of moving towards cultural awareness. For the sake of time, because I realize I'm like running out of time now, you can just briefly look at this. I'm just actually gonna try and move forward. Let's see. All right. So overall, integrating AAPI perspectives into education promotes a more nuanced understanding of cultural diversity, which in turn will reduce stereotypes, foster empathy, and encourage respectful and inclusive behavior, and therefore enhancing overall cultural awareness. Okay. So supporting AAPI students involve understanding their unique needs and creating an inclusive environment. This might include recognizing cultural differences and addressing any specific challenge they may face. Ensuring that AAPI students feel seen and supported help them thrive academically and personally. When AAPI students see their cultures, histories, and contributions reflected in the curriculum, it validates their identity and enhances their self-esteem, making them feel valued and understood. This representation boosts engagement and academic performance by making it more relevant and relatable. Additionally, positive portrayals of AAPI figures also foster cultural pride and provide role models, which can inspire students and bolster their confidence. Beyond supporting AAPI students, incorporating these perspectives benefit all students by broadening their understanding of cultural diversity. Exposure to AAPI histories and contributions helps reduce stereotypes, improve interpersonal skills, and increase empathy by fostering a deeper connection to others' experience. Well, the last slide was about supporting AAPI students. And now as I move into phase 2 of my postdoctoral work, I want to support AAPI educators. I am looking for AAPI educators in the state of Nevada in hopes of creating a community designed to support educators like you in developing and implementing AAPI curriculum. My mission is to ensure that every student see themselves reflected in their education while providing a robust support system for educators. By participating, you'll receive tailored resources, so curated materials and lesson plans that integrate AAPI history, culture, and contributions seamlessly into your existing curriculum. You get to participate in specialized workshops and training sessions. You all also get to connect with fellow educators to share best practices, brainstorm solutions, and collaborate on projects, ensuring that you're never alone in your efforts. And you'll also receive ongoing assistance. Support doesn't stop at development. I'll be here to help you through your implementation, offering guidance, feedback to ensure success in your classroom. If you are interested or know someone who's interested, or or can connect me to someone, that'll be great. Please email me, julie.pham@unlv.edu. Thank you. Okay. So here is a lot of text. I'll give you a minute or two to kind of just skim through this, but these are actually examples from participants from my micro course, right? And I'll send you the prompt that I asked in the chat so that you can see how they came to these conclusions, these acknowledgments. Yeah, and I just want you to just skim through this for about like a minute or two. And I want you to pull some common themes if you see any, and please share it in a chat when you're ready. Jose, do you think that you can elaborate on your questions? Like, what do you mean by these practices? Which practice are you talking about? Yes, thank you, Viv. Inclusivity, complex AAPI history. Yes, how bottom minority myth is harmful. Thank you for being here. Bye, Viv. All right, one more minute. Yes, absolutely, June. There was a lack of cultural awareness from the participants prior to taking this micro course. And they had these false perceptions of APIs, right? They didn't understand, or they didn't know that they even had these biases. And because of the micro course, they're like, oh my God, light bulb. I understand how it can be harmful to my students. Okay. So just for lack of time, I'm just going to go ahead and move forward. I hope that these examples offer valuable insight as to why it's important to include AAPI histories and experiences in K-12 curriculum and serve as inspiration for your own practices. Yeah. Yes. Thank you, Ben. Absolutely. Okay. To help you integrate AAPI perspective into your own teaching, here are some valuable resources. Books like Teaching Asian America in Elementary Classroom by Drs. Rodriguez, An, and Kim, who actually will be having a book talk offered by CME, the Cultural Studies, International Education, and Multicultural Studies program on Saturday, February 22nd at 9 a.m. Registration details are forthcoming, but please email me or CME, that's CSIEME, if you are interested in attending. There are also organizations like the Asian American Education Project. The Asian American Education Project mission is to provide a tailored K-12 curriculum for educators to teach the rich history of Asian Americans in today's classroom. There are over 70 plus lesson plans to choose from, and with more on the way. If you'd like to learn more, please visit the Asian American Education Project website. These are just some of the tools. If you would like a bigger list, please email me at julie.pham@unlv.edu and I can share that out. There are also professional development opportunities that I am working on for further training and learning. Again, please email me if you're interested. Or if you are an educator in Nevada, you can take the micro course through an NRPDP. So now that we've discussed the importance of including AAPIs in K-12 curriculum, it's time to take action. Here are some teaching strategy ideas that you can utilize right away. For example, you can start by reviewing your current curriculum and identifying areas where AAPIs can be added. You can engage in ongoing learning and professional development to stay informed, just like attending this webinar. He can also use resources that represent diverse voices and experiences and incorporate activities that allow students to explore and appreciate different cultures. And by doing so, you create a classroom environment where every student feels valued. Yeah, so that's just a few here. And I think for the sake of time, because I do want to leave a couple minutes for Q&A, I'm just going to go ahead and move on. All right, so thank you. We've reached the end of the webinar, and I'd like to open the floor to any questions you may have. Feel free to ask about any of the topics we covered today. Also, if you have any further questions or need additional resources, please don't hesitate to contact me at my email. Again, it's julie.pham@unlv.edu. And thank you all for showing up and participating. But before we go, or before we do Q&A, I also would like to plug the next Scholarship and Practice web lecture series. It is Mathematic Writing, the What, Why, and How, and it's presented by Dr. Alex Smith and Dr. Aaron Smith. I'll leave this up so you can take a picture of the QR code. And yeah, All right. Actually, there is actually one question. I will go ahead and read it and attempt to answer it. So the question is, how do we navigate conversations with leaders in the education space that may have biases and don't want to add to their curriculum workload? So this one's a very difficult question to answer, right? Yes, it's a great question. So thank you for whoever sent that. But it's real. So yeah, so one, right? Educators, K-12 educators already have a huge workload, right? They are working around the clock, working off the clock. And so we don't want to add to the curriculum workload either, right? So this is why we're kind of, creating the curriculum, supporting them, figuring ways we can just, seamlessly slide things into the current curriculum that they're already teaching. But also, how do we navigate these conversations with leaders in this space, right? Who maybe already have these biases. And I think the best way to do so is to show up, take space, have these conversations, and they're going to be difficult conversations because you're trying to make your case, right? And people with biases, they're not going to understand how to just say, okay, yeah, like I agree with you right off the bat, right? You have to have these conversations and have those hard conversations and bring it up in a way where you're not attacking the other person, but rather just like, hey, like, there are some data points and I would like to speak to you about it. Or like bring it up in a conversation in a way where the other person doesn't feel attacked and willing to listen. I think that's the best way to answer that question. And I just got another question, but that is, how do you foresee this program eventually becoming a requirement in Nevada like it is in California? Well, I believe that's through a lot of lobbying, right? So we have to really fight for this to be included in our curriculum in Clark County across Nevada State. And I think here it's a little difficult because the political climate, it's purple right now, right? And so there have been talks like in Florida, they ban ethnic studies, right? So you have places where they're banning it and places where they are uplifting it, like California. Right now, the first step is to really just gather that support with people who want this, right? Of students. The best way to do this is to get students, right? If students are here and they're telling us, hey, we want to see this in Nevada because I want to see people like me in the curriculum, I think that is the best way to gather that support to go and lobby for that. Yeah, I hope that answers the question. But yeah, I hope that in me creating this micro course one, I'll get some interest and creating course 2 and 3 where I talk about, at the higher ed level, and then course 3 talks about bridging everything and the importance of ethnic studies. Yeah, I just hope that it can be something greater one day. Thank you. Yeah, I think that is it. Thank you so much again for showing up, for participating, and for listening to me talk for an hour. Thank you, everyone.